Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about how I got 2 reviews removed from my Airbnb listing. So just to let you know, I have been doing Airbnb for about 2 years now. And I started off doing it as a regular short-term rental, and that happened for about 7 or 8 months. And then I transitioned to more of a midterm rental. And I am a super host. I have about 60 5-star reviews, 1 4-star, and my reputation on Airbnb is my business. And that's how I see it. And I know a lot of you out there see that as well. So I wanted to share the 2 instances when I was able to get my reviews removed. I know that a lot of people online say how impossible it's nearly impossible to get your review removed. And you have to jump through hoops and you have to contact Airbnb multiple times. I did not have that occurrence. And I am also going to share with you about the factors that I think contributed to me being able to take those reviews off. And this fan right here is probably a little annoying to you guys, so I'm gonna shut it off. Hold on. All right, so now that this is winding down, let me talk about my first instance. So back in, I believe, 2018, it was during Thanksgiving. We had a person rent our place for the night. Lo and behold, we come in and we come to the property because we were living on the site at the time. We saw that trucks were parked in front of our neighbor's driveway. It wasn't blocking it, but it was hard for the neighbor to get in and out. So we were just gonna knock on the door, say, hey, just wanna let you know to move your truck. Well, when they opened the door, I got a huge whiff of pot. And I was like, hell no, what the heck? Like, no. Obviously they tried to deny it. I don't know why. But I could see that these were kids being stupid, thinking they could have a party at my house, right? So I went ahead and they begged me not to call the cops. And I did feel bad for them. In hindsight, I should have called the cops because of the ruckus that they made. But I didn't at the time. What I did do though is call Airbnb, and I told them about the whole situation, and they ended up calling the guest and telling the guest to go ahead, ask them to leave the property. I had proof that they had more than more than what was allowable on the list. So they ended up vacating in a huge rush, and they left a bad review. They said that the house said it was an entire home, and it wasn't. I think they said something else that was false, but I was able to get I was able to get the review removed, mostly on the account that they really broke a rule there. But also they did have false things on their review. So that was the first time that I got a review removed, and Airbnb just went ahead and took it out quickly. I think too at the time I was, and I still am, a super host. So I think that also contributed. That was a contributing factor to them taking it off. The next time was recently, and I posted some videos about this, the whole situation, including her review. This one was a tricky one. She was an unhappy guest and was unhappy during the whole stay, night after night. She didn't stay for the full time, which was 30 days. She only stayed for 4 nights. The first night, she had some issues with the cameras, even though it was disclosed. But something told me like, this is not gonna go well. So I picked up the phone with Airbnb, told them the situation. I told them like, yes, I am concerned with a negative review. Like, what can I do? And I continued to call them throughout the situation. You can see from one of my videos that how it escalated, right? And I knew that since this lady was a little crazy, the more mad she became, the more likely she was to write an inaccurate review. Now, this was a risk on my part, right? Because I could kind of try to solve it peacefully and she still write a negative review, but it didn't have inaccuracies. Or I could continue fighting and not being disrespectful, but instead like continue just not going the peaceful route. I can continue not going the peaceful route and make her more and more mad, right? That's what she was becoming. And I knew the more irrational a person was, the more likely they're going to write whatever they think in their mind is correct of what happened in the situation, right? So that was the route that I took, and I felt more safe with her being angrier. I know that sounds totally different than maybe other advice you would get, and this is not what I would suggest in every situation. But when you encounter someone like that, that is one option that you may want to consider. So the whole time since the very beginning until, being on the phone with Airbnb, with them mediating to the very end in the review, she kept on talking about the cameras. She accepted the cameras on the listing. You knew they were there, or you didn't. Who cares? I disclosed it. I did my part. So she said in the listing, and here's what you have to do too, is you have to pick apart the listing and you have to find anything, even if it is one preposition that is wrong, that makes it false. You need to pick it apart. So the thing that she said was false is one of the things that she said was false was that there were cameras on the outside and in the home, and that was stated on the listing. Well, it wasn't stated on the listing. Also, she was telling Airbnb on the phone before she checked out about how she was unhappy with the cameras, but Airbnb told her, you accepted that. And so I'm thinking that was one of the contributing factors that helped me get the review off, is the whole lineage of conversations that she had with them surrounding the cameras. And they could see like, oh, this is the history. This is what happened. And we can see that the host, did explain the cameras, but here she is talking about it badly in the review. So that's one factor that I think helped. So another thing that I did when I was on the phone with Airbnb to report my review, I didn't message them, I called them. And I, on the phone, on the phone, I pointed out specifically the cameras as one of the issues, one of the things that were false, and I pointed out, word for word that. And so that's one thing that I suggest for hosts. Now, you don't want to go and make this really long for the person listening to you, because they need to be your ally in this situation. But yes, I mean, you need to point out, I would highly recommend to point out the specifics. There's so much information here, from the beginning from the text messages, from the Airbnb messages, from what she said, from what I said, from what Airbnb documented. There's so much there. So for you to go ahead and help them and par it down into very concrete things, just a couple things, I think will help you get through. And yeah, you do kind of have to be an English teacher and look through it and look for anything that could make it look like it's false. Now, maybe I got lucky on this one with this lady. But yeah, I would recommend just to think through your options when you get a bad review. And think if you think that you might get a bad review, that's when you want to think through your options, not when you get your bad review. Then you're kind of what can you do? I mean, you're a little bit behind the 8 ball, so you have to catch up. Don't forget to report the bad review as soon as you can, or report the false review. So if they put the review that day, try to go ahead and take care of it that day. So yeah, I know this is like an impossibility to have one review taking off Airbnb, but I've had 2. So I hope that my experience can help you guys in some way. You can take what you want from it. And I highly suggest that you just consider this and other options as you go through dealing with this headache. I mean, it's really not easy going through the review. I mean, you can see my video before, me reading the review and just being livid at the things that these people say. I mean, you're going to encounter these crappy people, and even if you did something to say contribute to whatever the problem that the guest was having in the and what they wrote in the review, even if you have that, there is still something you can do about it. So definitely I would recommend at least make the call, have your notes together on what specifically you want to talk about. Keep your emotions in check. You don't want to be that host that they don't want to help. I mean, I know that Airbnb is supposed to help every person on each side, but they're gonna want to do something for the people who are appreciative of what they're doing. But definitely remain strong, have your facts together. So yeah. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. I hope that people get to see this, and yeah, thanks for watching.